Now, the phone hacking trial brought by Prince Harry and other celebrities against Mirror Group newspapers is set to wrap up today.
Now, the lawsuit alleges unlawful information gathering between 1996 and 2011.
Let's talk to media lawyer Jonathan Coad for some analysis. Look, it all wraps up. What are we expecting, do we think? What have we made of the evidence that we've heard so far?
Well, the evidence was extraordinary. It started really with Prince Harry's own statement. 55 pages of the most extraordinary stuff that I've read. I've been doing this for about 30 years. Of course, one of the tragedies for him is that this is essentially a privacy trial, but giving evidence, he was required to tell the court all sorts of things, which I thought he'd probably rather not tell the court. But the cross-examination of Prince Harry was obviously a very important part. I think he did pretty well. He didn't lose his temper, which I'm sure is one of the things they tried to make him do. He was measured. The KC for the paper landed a couple of blows, but on the whole, I thought he came out fairly okay. The most extraordinary part for me of the trial was the cross-examination of the royal correspondent of the Mirror, which started with her being asked, is it true that you didn't want to come here today? And she said, yes. Is it true that you were forced to come to this court by way of a court order? And she said, yes. So as a way to start your evidence, it was like going into a football game, second round, having lost 10-0 in the first round. But we've now seen the closing submissions by both sides, the summing up, so to speak, of their case. And now we'll have to wait probably at least until about September to find out what the judge thinks about it all.
Yes, this is decided just by judge, isn't it? There isn't a jury.
No, that's right. We've lost juries in all civil trials, unlike the Americans, bless them, where they still have a jury. We only have juries now for criminal proceedings. So, yes, it's just Mr. Justice Fancourt who has on the unenviable task of writing a judgment during the course of the summer, which he knows will be read by vast numbers of people and certainly by the Court of Appeal, because whoever loses is definitely going to go to the Court of Appeal. So it's going to be picked over by the Court of Appeal, whichever way he goes.
I mean, the other interesting thing is that all of the headlines have been about Prince Harry, and we're talking that way this morning, but there have been several other names involved in this particular wave of hearings.
Yes, no, that's absolutely right. What the court's decided to do is to take a chunk of them. So there are a number of other claimants. The Prince Harry trial was only 3 days in amongst a series of trials. So yes, he's not only got to deal with Prince Harry, but he's also got to deal with a number of other claimants, and they're obviously not the entirety. One of the reasons he picked Prince Harry is that the judge said it was quite clear that Prince Harry's case wasn't going to settle, so let's get the trial over with. But no, there's still a queue of people waiting for their trials.
But what's the defence been like in all of this? Because it seems to be there's been an admission of some sort of culpability or mistakes being made, but it all seems to balance on whether this was sanctioned from the top.
Well, it isn't. It isn't quite whether it's sanctioned from the top. Yes, certainly. I mean, there was a series of trials in 2015, which the KC for the paper made reference to, it led by a lady called Ms. Gulati, which cost the Mirror vast sums of money. And the judge was reminded of this. Essentially, it's slightly unusual. The KC saying, look, we've already had to pay out £100 million for previous wrongdoing. Please remember that. But there's the primary issue for the judge is whether this phone hacking took place. He has noticed, however, that some big names have not been present at the trial, the biggest name being Piers Morgan. Now, one of the things he will probably have to decide is the extent to which knowledge about this alleged wrongdoing went upwards. And he has already made a complaint, effectively, that Piers Morgan's had a lot to say about this in the media, but hasn't turned up to give evidence. So we'll find out whether he thinks that the evidence given by Prince Harry and his team that Piers Morgan must have known about this evidence he accepts or not.
So the closing arguments are today, yes? They'll be interesting.
Well, they started yesterday. They'll finish today, and then that will be the end until we get handed down, to use the old-fashioned term, a judgment. Handed down means now it'll appear on a website at 10:30, probably one day in September or October. Then we'll all find out what the judge has thought about it all.
Gosh, these things take a long time, don't they?
They do, don't they? Jonathan Coad, really good to see you. Thank you.